Hello everyone. Welcome to a new installment of the Atalaku Effect. As always, I'm your host, Claudel and Kamga. It has been a while, but we'll get into that in a moment. Today, I'm very happy and excited to have a conversation with Kamga Tchassa. You might know him from his YouTube channel, Kamga Tchassa, from his podcast, The Love Creative, from his Medium blogs. I mean, he's everywhere. So, Kamga, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited and I'm looking forward to this conversation. I've been waiting for this for 2 weeks now. So yeah, this is awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time. Before diving into business, let's talk about the state of the world, right? You are, as I'm sure I am right now, confined due to the coronavirus. How are you handling that?
For me, it hits home in a way because my wife is a doctor. So
Ooh.
yeah. So and then she was sick a couple of weeks, about 1 week, 2 weeks ago. She actually had the flu, and we all thought it was corona. So during this period, I really had to have questions like, what if she's actually sick now and she dies? What if I'm infected and I die? What if this is it? So a lot of my newfound energy and enthusiasm is first because she's feeling much better, and then two, because I have heard from her perspective about things and I get a first-hand account of how it's difficult for many people. And it makes me more grateful for what I already have.
Oh, of course.
I feel so grateful that I can actually stay home. There are people who are dying, people who have lost their jobs. Like, there's a lot of things that are happening because of coronavirus. And I'm like, man, thank God that, and not thank God that's happening to other people, but I'm grateful for what I have. And it makes me see everything, even just my chair. I'm very happy for this chair right now. So, yeah, that's why I see it's changed a lot of things. I work from home, and I think people are not even ready for it. Especially when I think about people in Cameroon and I see the messages people share in WhatsApp groups and all this, and I'm like, people don't realize how dangerous this is for everybody.
It is.
But you can only do what you can do. So, yeah.
Indeed. It is, man. I feel like for the past, 5-10 years, when people were thinking about like a major catastrophe, it was always like World War III, right? The war between the US and North Korea and Iran and this and that. But no one saw, being basically the whole world being threatened by an invisible threat, right? It's kind of crazy.
I mean, and my thoughts, I think I wrote an article, I said something in a video about this when I made a video on YouTube about hope in this period. And I basically said, I think people are pretty much selfish. Like, I thought that when something like this will happen, all of mankind will just be behind together. Like, we'll have the biggest surge of like positive. Man, I don't think there's anything that can bring us all together. Like, if this cannot bring us together, then I don't know what will.
Right, it's kind of scary indeed. And you mentioned your wife having the flu. Does she still has to go to the hospital like on a daily basis? Is she exposed all the time or?
We were quarantined when she got sick. It was one of those like we didn't know what it was, and she was like, maybe she's just tired. But then as the days drew, it got worse. And then towards like the third day, it was clear that, all right, if she has COVID right now, I am infected and we're not going anywhere. So she called the hospital, her colleagues, and they were like, we'll have to make you do the test. But getting the test is not easy. Like, that's one thing about the American healthcare system, and I'm guessing many other places where it's either too expensive or inaccessible, or it's just until you have all the symptoms, nobody's going to give you a test.
Yeah.
So all we did was stay at home. Like, we're okay for the next 2 weeks. You cannot leave the house. You cannot even go outside. My mother-in-law came here to give us food, dropped the food in front of the door, and then we had to go get the food after she left. That's how bad it was. Like, we had no contact with anybody because it's like, if we're going to die, at least let's just the two of us. So now, when she goes to work now, she does a lot of telemedicine. So they see a lot of patients, this only on the computer. Like, are you okay? What's happening? Here's your prescription.
Yeah.
And even at Walmart, they're making time for people to come and get their medicine. Like, older people get, I think around Tuesday at 6 a.m. That's when they show up to get their drugs or their food, since they're more disposed to the illness. But she works mostly from home. Right now, she's working on her modules, and they try to limit face-to-face meetings from everybody unless it's really necessary. So
good.
That's what they're doing.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear she's feeling better and that both of you are in a good health condition. I mean,
Thanks.
Definitely. And before we move on, I mean, PSA, right? Everyone, wherever you are right now, you've probably obviously heard of the virus. So stay home, wash your hands, wear a mask, listen to the news coming from.
Podcast. virus.
There's no Atalaku to this virus. It's not happening.
It's not.
But yeah, and one big thing, I think it's less the case in the US, but I don't know about you, but looking at the family back home and what's being shared on WhatsApp, it's even scarier because the propensity of fake news, I've seen like it's like the coronavirus can be cured by eating papaya, by onions. I
What
mean,
else? Garlic. Whenever my wife sees those things, she gets crazy. Like, given that she's a professional, she just gets mad. And we're actually thinking of making a video where I ask her questions and she answers, because this particular topic can get us to a whole other episode podcast. The two French doctors who spoke about the tests, the vaccine test, like that, gave this whole outrage thing. When she gave me her perspective and she spoke as a scientist, I was like, we need to make a video of put to realize that these guys may not have been as racist as people think they were. Like, the language they were using, for the regular person who is not like a doctor or researcher, you would not actually get a lot of what they were saying. Like the parallel studies, other examples like using process. Like, that's what I'm saying. This is a whole podcast, and I don't want to start getting people upset right now. But there's a lot of this misinformation that's going on that I don't know. So when she brings it up, and even my mother-in-law, my parents, they share all these messages. I'm like, guys, you have a daughter-in-law who's a doctor. Why don't you just ask her? I don't know how people to just ask the professionals in their lives. Just ask. Someone else I know. It's annoying. It really is. And
it is.
When she gets pissed off, I don't know what to do. So I'm like, well, I shall. And then just move on.
Move on. You have to, man. So one of the silver lining that a lot of people, including myself, of course, because we kind of forced to stay home, we find ourselves like being forced to use our free time differently, right? I think people who love hiking, going out, visiting friends and family, you kind of don't have a choice. You can't do that today. So, like, I don't know, I use my free time mostly as right now, like getting back into podcasts, trying to read. I'm not a big reader, especially since I started the podcast. I'm always listening to it.
I love books.
So yeah, how do you use your time, your free time on the weekends?
Before opening the quarantine, I had no free time. So just a short intro into my own dropout story. I've dropped out of college 3 times so far, like twice in Cameroon and once in the US, where I finally realized that I don't want to go to college. Like, school is not for me. I like to teach myself, try things, experiment, fail on a small scale. So what I used my free time before to do was to really study, like money, business, writing. And then now I get up, I have my day job on Sunday to Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday are my days off, which aren't really off, because if you tell that to my wife, she'll be like, yeah, which days off? I don't see you any day anyway. But I live in this house and we're under quarantine. But so I use it to read mostly in the mornings, and then honestly I do a lot of YouTube rabbit holes because I'm teaching myself how to design. So I'm studying design on Skillshare or other platforms. I'm looking at free courses I can take because I don't want to pay anyone that I don't have to pay anyway. And so a lot of my time is spent experimenting, writing. Writing takes a huge bulk of my time since I spend a lot of time on Medium, because I write, I edit, I post nearly every day, and I started doing that about a week ago, and I've been doing it for a long time. But I'm doing this 90-day experiment of publishing every single day. Like, after this, I'll have to write an article and publish, and then see how it goes, to see how much money I can actually make on Medium. So a lot of my time now is spent on really strategizing and trying not to waste energy, because I waste a lot of energy. I don't know if it's a creativity. I don't know about you, whether you feel like you do all these things that are not very necessary, but you feel like they are, then you realize that they're not really necessary. So I'm trying to streamline, like, okay, how can I be more efficient? How can I batch things? How can I really leverage my own talents and skills to work better? So that's what I'm really putting my energy on now. My time is studying and writing and learning how to leverage that. So how do you use your own time? Since you cannot read, what do you do?
I mean, I like that you say I cannot read. No, I can read. Everyone listening, you have seen me read before. I can read. The thing is, I don't know, man. When I discovered the podcast, it was just like a fantastic way for me to like digest information or even learn, right? Like we've talked before this about the Tim Ferriss podcast, the Joe Rogan. And I don't know, I think there's a way to get information. Like a 2-hour podcast, I feel like for me would be like 10 hours reading a book. I think there are plus and minuses. The plus is that I can listen to podcasts while I'm driving to work or back to work, when I'm taking a shower, whatever. While reading, I feel like I have to sit down and focus. But I think what I'm missing from the reading is the creative part of it, right? Because when you think about a character, your mind goes places and you imagine what that character would be like, which is necessarily not the case when you're watching a movie or.
That's interesting because I was talking with a friend. Like you brought up the three main things I wanted to touch on there. The last part is the imagination of reading. A friend and I were talking about. I think it was my wife. People read and imagine things. Actually, I don't, which is scary and weird because I actually write stories and I paint images. So I don't. I'm not. I'm not. What's the word? It's not possible for me to picture things. So I can describe something because I can only see a certain part of it. So I can move from here, like table and chairs and the floor, but I don't know how to see with my mind. So I don't have that skill to be able to see, like, oh, if you tell me something or you read a book, I see the character. So I see parts of the character. I can see, like, I don't know, if you tell me a cup, I'll see only the cup, maybe a face. I'll try to see a face, but I'm not able to see. So reading, for me, doesn't give me the ability to imagine those things. Listening, on the other hand, when I listen to podcasts that are conversations like this one, I can do that while doing laundry, doing dishes, and I love doing the dishes because I like cleaning things for some reason. And yeah, it gets me thinking about Naval. We talked about Naval earlier. Naval actually said reading allows you to read faster because you can read at your pace. When you're listening to an audiobook, you can do 2x, which is weird, but yeah, you can do 2 times the speed and listen to all of it. But I like to read because I get to take notes. Like my whole house is books, as you can see. There's like books everywhere. I decided to stop buying books until I finish this one, and I'm surely going to change my mind later on because some people drink, some people smoke. I read, and I like to read because I can write in them. I can take notes, I can pull it, and there's a physical aspect of being able to go to a page and see the author's words that I think is missing with audio. So I read and I listen to audiobooks and I also watch videos. So, as we discussed during this conversation, I don't have one medium that I'm like, oh, this is the best medium for communication, for creativity. For me, it's like whichever one works. If you're going to tell a story visually and it works, tell it. If it's audio, tell it. If it's writing, write it. If you have to perform it as a poem, perform it. So there's no like, oh, I like video.
One way,
that's what I want to do. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, man. Talking about reading, you mentioned earlier that the last book you've read, and I think you've put a review on that, is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. You want to touch a couple of words on that? It's a book I've heard about a long time ago. It's on my list of books to read.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm afraid to read that book.
I'm about to convert you. I have hardly come across someone who read that book and said it wasn't up to their standards. So maybe I'm hyping it again too much. I'm giving a telecook for the book. But it's my favorite book. I've read it at least twice every year for the past 4 years since I got the book. So it's a book that I recommend. For me, it's like a personal development book. It's a story, like a fable of a shepherd boy. And I did the review. I published a review yesterday, but I didn't want to publish a review because I like the book so much that I'm worried that if I spill too much enthusiasm, people will be like, oh, what does he think? And then they go reading the book and they're disappointed. I think it's one of those books that share life stories in a way that allows everybody to understand. So it's not big language, it's not spectacular scenes, it's just simple statements, a well-told story with nuggets for you wherever you are in your life. I think it's a book that anybody can read at any stage and find something for them. So not to say too much about The Alchemist, I think it's a great book. I like it. I never used to have favorite books in my life. Like I read a lot of books, I'll be like, oh, I like it, it's okay. Depending on the situation, I'll take a book. But this one, if I have to take one book and read for the rest of my life, it will be The Alchemist.
Oh, wow. That's a big endorsement there. So one of the big part, as you said, is as you read it, you feel as if everyone can find some passage of the book that will resonate with their life because it's real. There's no, okay, interesting.
Yeah. And it's a man's story. Like he says in the book, it's when he wrote the book, nobody wanted it. Like it flopped. Publishers, the first publisher was like, take your book back, man. Your book is not selling. We can't do this here. Just have it. He walked around in his car, knocking doors, like, hey, buy my book. Eventually, he took off, and then he's written more books. I've read a second book called 11 Minutes. He has a traditional style, his signature style, not traditional. And my cousin, who's the one who gave me the book, we used to talk about, like, every writer has a book that is their book. Like, they could write 1,000 books. But there's one book that is like, God sent you to write a particular book, and that's it. Everything else, just add your money in the bank. But it's like, if J.K. Rowling writes another book right now, I don't see how it's going to beat Harry Potter. Like, it's like, that's the book. That's like her series. That is her. Yeah. So I feel like that's what it is for Paolo. He's written other books, many books. But for me, when I read every other book, I'm like, it doesn't compare to The Alchemist.
Interesting. Okay. Well, you kind of revive my interest in that one. Then I'll see how
I'm
it
glad that
compares
was
to
my goal.
that. Man, let's talk about your life. So again, I will put and include a link to your podcast, Love Creative, where you talk in detail about your life, your journey from Cameroon to the US. So,
Yeah.
can you provide us like a small teaser of
Yeah.
your
Let me see which direction would I take. So, what I love about podcast guests is how they are able to summarize their story and give you just the key points when you need it. And then when a question comes up to me, I'm like, man, that thing's so difficult. I don't know how to do this anyway. But I I never at some point I thought I was going to come to the US, and then at some point I never knew I was going to come to the US. So I was born and raised in Cameroon, born in Bamenda, raised in Bafoussam, studied in school in St. Bede's College for 7 years, moved to Boya University, spent 7 years in the university too because I did not know what I wanted to do with my life, basically. So I started biochemistry, dropped out, then medical laboratory science for 3 years, dropped out, and then did journalism. So I finished my only degree that I finally finished was in journalism. That was in 2015. And then around 2015, funny enough, what made me change my mind about the internship I was doing at Canal de International was a podcast, which was the Unmistakable Creative Podcast. And I don't know if you've listened to my video, but I actually met the podcast host, like the guest, the Srini Rao, who is the founder of the podcast. I met him here in the US. So that was like a full circle moment of like, dude, you made me open my eyes and thank you. And he was like, yeah, sure.
whatever if I can
And
help.
he was like, yeah, it's fine. And that was a pretty cool moment. So 2016, all those changes, journalism was when a lot of things started clicking for me. So I found this writer called James Altucher. James Altucher, I think I've mentioned him and credit him into a lot of my writing because I never knew that somebody could write about their personal story in a way that was interesting, funny, and then, cathartic, like give release to people and help people learn lessons. James really showed me that on his blog. So I found that blog in 2012. And that's also when I started writing my blog called Kamga as a blog, which is no longer active. It was on WordPress. And between 2012 and 2015, while I was in journalism school, I was blogging. So all the people from like Joku, Wasamundi, at the time when they were like startups in Boya, like the Silicon Mountain was
Yeah.
coming up. A lot of that space, I was very much involved in it because I knew the founders at a personal level. And even now, we still have some friendships. And Boya has changed a lot. So during that period, I discovered that I like to write. And Cameroon was Cameroon, so internet wasn't great. And a lot of things sucked. And also, while in boarding school, I met my wife in boarding school, and she was like, "We're going to get married." I was like, "Ew, that's disgusting." But we moved and grew up, and then she came to the US way earlier than I did. So she came to the US like 1 year after we met, and we'd been friends the whole time. So during that period while I was in UB, struggling and failing and not doing what I really wanted to, we had friends on the phone, long distance. Like that's what we had 2.5 breakups. So one time she broke up with me, one time I broke up with her, and then one time it was like, are we breaking up? I'm not sure. And then sometime around 2016, I listened to the podcast, and then I make up my mind to go back to Boya. Because I was doing this internship I did not like. I finished journalism school. I wanted to blog because I like this whole writing thing. I want to do it. My dad was on the same page with me, but at some point when I graduated, he was like, I think you need a job. And now that I look back, I think what he was trying to say is you're irresponsible, you need some level of structure in your life. But he thought a job was going to give me that, which
Yeah.
hasn't, because I have a job now, I'm still irresponsible. But anyway, I left that internship, moved back to Boya to start a master's in English language, which was around the same time that the Anglophone crisis began. And that was also around the same time that I met with one of my mentors, Alex Quest of JJ Quest, who was one of the co-founders of Iya Boya. I don't know if you have seen, there was a restaurant/cultural space that was around Alliance Franco in Boya there. And my love for poetry blew up in that space because I was working as an event host / poetry host / social media guy / I did a bunch of things basically. And we're hosting the Iya Griot Night, which was the first ever poetry event in Boya. So that was pretty cool. And I got my friends into poetry, got people into writing.
How big was that community?
It was pretty awesome because people were looking forward to it. And even when I finally left Boya and left Iya to work in Douala as a copyright and advertising agency, people were like, man, this thing is dead. And like, imagine a room full of like 40, 50 people who all just sit quietly listening to one person share their poetry. And then you have these Q&A sessions. And then after that, we used to have even like parties. The Chinjon, the siblings, I don't know if you know them, who do techno music. Is it techno music? House music. I'm not call it techno. I'm sure she'll be so upset I'm calling her music techno. House music. They also would come to this space. We would have like people talking about projects. People like Monique Kwachu, Monique Tumgia. I don't know if you know her of Green. What's it? Green Sisters, Green Waters. I don't know. Green something. She does something with.
The name rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah. So even Diane Audrey came. Actually, the first time I went to IA was because of his Day Afrique. So there's a lot of things that happened for me around that period that I can trace back to. Like, I love stories. I came to a space. Alex gave me a space, and it was like, this is a space. Do what you want to do with it. And that, for me, was one of those key moments where I had somebody in my life giving me permission to do whatever I wanted to do. Because my parents loved me. Like, it's not as if they were trying to stifle me, but there was always a reticence of this whole creativity thing is not really something that is viable in Cameroon. It's not a thing that people do. Yeah. It's like American thing, it's like out there. And have somebody who came in and was like, I'm willing to pay you and give you a job to do this thing. And I had this joy of doing it. In the long run, it became a different thing. Like, our visions, I would say, were different. I grew up and started seeing things differently, and I ended up striking on my own, so to speak. But a lot of things happened for me there. I really discovered that I love to have community there. I started doing like small poetry writing workshops, movie screenwriting workshops, and things like that. And that was around the period when my wife and I actually reconnected. And she was doing this project called a Death and Dying Project. It's one of these end of year med school things where she went to a rural area and was talking to older people about, death, and do they have a will? Do their people know what will happen if they die? And we're having this conversation one day, and just had this moment. It's like a lot of things just fell in place. Like, this is a woman that I've been friends with since we were 15 years old. And she's wanted me to come, and I've said no. And what am I doing with my life? Like, what is this? The only reason why I'm here right now is because I'm working and doing these things I could do anywhere that is the internet. So I was like, let's get back together. I think that moment struck me as a moment I realized that I love creating and I love writing and I love this. And as you can hear, I'm very enthusiastic about books. But if I did not have her in my life, a lot of things would have gone wrong. She's the one who actually pushed me to be like, bro, you don't like medical laboratory science. Drop out. Tell your parents. Do something about it. Stop pretending. Or you don't really like this thing. She actually gave me money to start my own things in Boya, things that failed. Like, she has been supporting me for years before this moment. And she was saying this morning that if I was a stock, she's been putting it's not that she's getting her dividends from the stock. So a lot of my story, I talk a lot about creativity and I like to create. But I always have to give a lot of credit for this woman who has stuck with me through good and bad. And then now she's able to see at least some aspect of that. Like, I'm not yet arrived. I'm still a long way from where I want to be, but there's so much that I've done that I'm grateful for having her. So when I told her that we needed to be together, it was 2017. She came back to the country and I asked her to marry me. We told our parents that I actually asked her before even telling my parents, which was pretty scary or strange for me, which was showing that I've changed a lot. And then we had 1 year to wait. So we waited for 1 year from June 2017 to June 2018 for the visa to be done. During that period, I left IA. I moved to Douala. I was working as a copywriter. Actually, the way I got that job is still another mentor, William Tako, who was like, Pedifre, what are you doing, boy? I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, send me your CV. There's this position I needed. It looked like it would be a good fit. And then I sent it, went for the interview application, got the job. I was working at, I actually forgotten the place. Funny enough, I was looking for the name. I was trying to think about the name yesterday and totally forgot. Is this advertising agency somewhere in Douala? It's one of those big guys, not Macan, but somebody else. It starts with an A. Cannot believe that one.
Yeah.
I cannot remember where I was.
Sorry, man. I can't help you there. Sorry.
But they're a pretty big deal, and they do a lot of advertising for Orange and other people. So I was working as a copywriter, but mostly I was doing a lot of translation, which kind of sucked because I wanted to create. But hey, they were paying well, and I was there, and I was waiting for my visa. Eventually, my visa came, and I left. I moved to the US, and that opened up a new avenue of problems that I never knew I was going to have in my life. Immigration sucks. Being an immigrant you cannot explain it. You can read articles all you want, you can read books, but until you live it, until you're actually in the chair, on the shoes of, dude, I'm in America, what does it mean to be black? What am I going to do with my life? Getting a driver's license, insurance, taxes.
Yeah, it's something, it's definitely something else. And I feel that kind of like a perfect segue to I think another piece of the conversation I like us to have,
Yeah.
because we're both coming from Cameroon and coming to the U.S. I don't know. I can introduce what it meant for me
Yeah,
to
please, I'd like to listen. Yeah.
be black in the US. It's like your whole life you've been black, right? Like it's like, okay, duh, I was born, my skin was black, I'm black, like, okay. But I feel like in the US it gets to another level where it becomes a daily reminder. It's like between Cameroon and France, like even in France, like, yeah, there's some racism, there's some, conversations or events that happen that reminds you, okay, it's not your home country. You're still considered a stranger, no matter if you have the nationality, the citizenship or not. But coming to the US, I remember the first thing for me was in business school, we had a recruiting event for investment banking. And I get an email, Black and Hispanic recruiting event. And I swear to God, I was freaked out. Like, wait a second. Why is it a specific event for Black and Hispanic? I feel like it was back in France, and it's like Jean-Marie Le Pen trying to have an event just for Black people so they can like put us in the same place and just deport them in mass. Like how can I trap those Black people in the same place under the premise of giving them a job and then just, hey, you are in the net right now. It's too late. Just get into the plane. You're home. So it's very, and of course, like hearing and learning more about the history in the U.S., and the black and white divide, you kind of understand why those type of events came to take place. But it's very, very interesting. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of bad as well. But no, I haven't been anywhere in the world where I have felt that black, And at some level, it kind of reconnected me back home or got me closer to just, Africans in general and the struggle that up until now I've never really experienced.
100%. It's like I wrote an article that got picked up by a Medium publication called Level. So Medium has its own publications, like run by Medium editors, and they take articles and feature them there. So you actually get a lot more money because many more people see the story. So this story was originally written. The title was "How much black, how much color is too much." I was talking about skin color basically. And it was a short piece. It was like 3-4 minutes where I was just sharing my frustration of how different I am as a Cameroonian to people who are black here in the US. And that was what I was using in that article. So that article got picked up and then edited. And actually, no, I helped with the editing. No, they edited it for me. And then the new title now is I Grew Up African, but America Makes It Hard to Be Black.
Interesting.
And I got two kinds of comments from that story. Some people were like, oh my God, this is so painful. This is scary. Man, this is so scary and painful. Thank you for painting the image. I understand what you mean. Like, as a black person, I know how painful it is. And then some people were like, why don't you go back to your country then? It looks like you're very comfortable where you were. Like, why are you complaining about anything? I guess if you're in Cameroon, you'll never write about this. You have freedom of speech. I was like, I'm not complaining. I'm fine. I have internet access. I have a computer. I have a dog. Like, I'm not complaining about being black in the US. But it doesn't change the fact that there are certain difficulties of having this skin color that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
How you deal with it is a whole different ballgame. People think that the whole idea of racism is like, it's done. It's dead. Like, forget about it. Slaves are over. Deal with it. Be done. Yeah, be done. But it doesn't change the fact that if I stand in a place and I look weird, my weird as a black person is not the same weird as a white person. If I have to look suspicious, I have to do a lot more work to look less suspicious than a black person and a white person in the same room. So there's certain things that are very obvious that people just downplay it, or because they've never experienced it, they refuse that it exists. And that's something that, for me, my journey coming to the US and then finding out that I'm black has been very strange. That's the word I used to describe it. It's not been painful. Like, I've had a moment of racial profiling. Like, for example, we did this interview. I wrote an article that I've not even published because I was like, let me get my citizenship first before I ever say anything like this. Because I don't want people like, all right, you look like you have too much mouth. Let's back. So we went to this, we're doing our interview, the last interview that we did for, was it my green card or something? Someone was asking us questions about why don't we have debt? Why don't we have credit cards? Why don't we have a house, mortgage and things? Basically, from what we got, my wife and I got from the conversation, is like, because we don't owe anybody money, we're not a typical black couple and something is wrong with us. Like, because she's good with her financial. My wife is very good with money. Like she buys what she wants, but she knows how to, and she doesn't want many things anyway, which is great for a person like me because I only want books. But she's known how to manage her money, going to med school, having to take loans, like living by herself for a long time has taught her how to be very, very mindful of how she spent her money. And instead of celebrating that, it felt like this woman was surprised that a black couple will not actually save enough money. But then on the other hand, somebody would tell me like, well, she was doing her job. She was just asking the questions she asked to ask. So yeah, you could take it that way, which is like people just do their jobs, just stop you randomly because they have to check people randomly to find out if they've stolen things in the shop. People are doing their jobs. It doesn't mean that when they do their jobs, there's a chance that that job now becomes more because of what you look or what you make them feel.
There's a lot there's a lot of stereotypes that makes it that wait, you don't fit the box of the typical black couple, so it makes you suspicious right away versus making you people actually being happy for you. Let me ask you, how is that then in the creative space, right? Because as far as I know, like the one of the black guy that I know being actually like a huge creative on YouTube is Marcus Brownlee. I don't know if you know him. He does a lot of tech review, computers, phones, and everything. I think he's a guy from New Jersey.
I know
so
yeah, I know Marcus.
yeah, you know the guy. So I've always wondered like how it is, especially in your space, because honestly, everything I've done so far, consulting, banking, or tech, yes, it's very like the percentage of like good product managers or good consultants or good investment bankers being black remains, I think, less than like 2 or 3% depending on the industry. But at least in every company, I've seen at least like a couple, or we have like events where we get together. But honestly, besides Marcus Brownlee, you, a couple, like one or two, like I feel like it's even more dessert. So how do you reconcile that?
Actually, what I would say here is that because of the space in which you are, like we are, you only see what you can see based on the space in which you are. For example, as a tech, banking and investment, you would check in your space to see those things. And what I notice is that because I spend a lot of time in my space, I know a lot more black creators, especially Nigerian creators.
Yep.
Now, the thing is, because of my interests, I'm not interested in beauty, I'm not interested in filmmaking. That is not the kind of quality that I'm aspiring to be. So I personally follow a lot of white creators, not because they're white, because of the quality of their work. So it's one of those things like, it's not like, oh, I trust Peter McKinnon because he's white. It's more like, I like Peter McKinnon. He looks like a cool guy.
Which is what it's supposed to be, right? Like technically, it's your work that's more important than what way you look like. Definitely.
Yeah, right. So for the creative space, I think there is a mentality that we have to accept, which is that maybe a lot of our quality is not that great after all. Like it's something that probably people are like, no, there's like many black awesome creators. I'm like, okay, Oprah, Tyler Perry, you can count them on the tip of your hands. Those who are actually like huge influences. And that's the thing. There are not many influences that I feel that are present in the creative space to pull up others, not to pull up like giving them money, but mostly like, hey, I am doing it in spite of what everybody is saying about race, in spite of what everybody is saying about whatever. So if I can do it, you can do it too. There are many women creators, like one of them is Alex Gassaway, who is like a awesome video creator, who I look at her, I'm like, she's not a typical beauty kind of person who like she's making use of her looks. She looks great, but if you had to base her following on her looks, she will lose. But on what she's able to do as a creator, it changes the game. And I see a lot of the space is, YouTube in particular is very much skewed. You have this 1% of huge creators. So in that 1%, how much percentage of that we have with black people or even Hispanics? Like the 1% of those that you see is too small. Now the long tail has a lot of people struggling, coming up, giving up, showing up every once in a while. And other people are like, yo, I'm fine at 100,000 subscribers. I'm good. I'm paying my bills. I'm not that ambitious. I'm okay. Like, don't.
Gotcha.
So I think it's not I know saying this will probably tell people like, no, there's race thing, but I don't know if race is actually an issue when it comes to creators standing out. I feel like it's a lot more work ethic and quality. So I don't really blame skin color or race. Yes, it does have a role to play. There's certain opportunities that you would get because of the way you look, certain ways you be turned out, but there are just too many examples of people who are winning despite that. I just feel like if you and I, people like us, take it upon ourselves, like we are going to shine in spite of this, then other people will do it. It's like the first man who did who broke the record for the 100-mile race. Like once he did it, many more people were able to do it. So,
Breaking
yeah.
the ceiling. Especially, we're talking about the creative space where the barrier to entry has never been
It's
lower,
really
right?
low.
You need a
Yeah.
computer, you need a mic. You don't even need like a fancy, I don't know, like this Blue Yeti. I think it was what $50 when I bought it. So, same thing for videos today. You don't need a specific, amazing 4K camera to get started. I think at some point, the quality of your content has to match what's done best out there. But I think at least to get started, you don't need to be or
Yeah.
spending that much money. So in your case, for
It's funny
instance,
that you say that.
go for
Yeah.
it.
It's something I want to say. I want to talk about one particular creator. His name is Emmanuel Sanyu. I actually interviewed him on the Loving Creative. I don't know if you listen. Anybody who's listening can go and listen to it. Emmanuel he had a channel at the time that was about 49,000 subscribers in Cameroon. This guy's never left Cameroon. Like when people talk about opportunities and things, this is a guy who started with just his computer. It wasn't even face to face. It was like voiceovers. He would do his research, make videos, and then put like his whole story is on the podcast. You can listen to this guy who was supposed to be a lawyer. Now he runs a full-time business that's only YouTube from Cameroon. Like so, when people give me excuses about things about gear and about not having equipment, not having fast internet because we're in the US, I'm like, I know somebody who has the same internet that you're using. So what are you telling me?
I agree. I think a big part of it, and we kind of touched on that at the beginning. I think it's from what I've seen, a big part of the culture in Cameroon is at least the French part of Cameroon is close to the one in France, and I think there is that mentality of unless I'm an expert on something, I don't have to talk about it. Which I think
Yeah.
the US are very good on the just get out there, try
Just give you a
something.
talaku. You hype whatever you want to hype.
Exactly. It's going to work out. Like a lot of my friends that I know, like very smart people, very mature, very poised, very reflected, intelligent. But I'm like, why don't you? And they tell you that they want to do something. They feel like they have learned a lot and they want to either give back or just talk about what they do. But there's always a part of here, but who am I to do that? Who am I to talk about it? They would say, oh, to do a podcast, it's not, I don't have a good voice or I don't have the right content. And I tell them my voice not amazing. I'm not the smartest guy out there, but I'm still doing it, right? So what do you say, especially given that, again, you started on Medium, then you went into podcast, then you create a YouTube channel. I feel like you've been exploring and you are still exploring a lot of different creative avenues. So why do you say to those people based on your personal story?
People who say that don't even know who they are and what they want. I know it's a preposterous thing for me to say. It's because I've been in that space for a long time where I'm waiting for somebody to come and tell me it's okay to do it. For somebody to explain, like, no, you're smart enough, you're good enough. I watch. I mean, we all like to hear some affirmation about our skills. It's great. We love it when our parents tell us. I think it's from childhood, like, "Oh, good boy, good girl, that's great." But at some point, you have to let go of trying to wait for people to tell you what to do. I know this because something that I've had difficulty with my wife with, like even my writing right now. There was a time when I write on Medium and she doesn't read it, I'll feel terrible. I'll be like, why didn't you read my articles? What's your problem? Don't you like me anymore? Are you trying to break up with me? So it's people, when you get to a point where you start looking at things from a perspective of I'm going to live one life. I'm going to be on this earth for one run and I will die. And there's a very high chance, actually, there's no chance that you're coming back. And if I'm going to spend this whole time giving excuses for why I'm not living my ultimate life, what does that ultimate life look like? It might look like starting a course today because you don't know. And by the time you're done with that 30 minutes of the course, you actually know a little bit more about graphic design. Okay, fine. You have a good voice. What is a good voice? Like, actually break down the problem to the core of it, which is, are you just saying that because you want somebody to tell you that you have a good voice? Are you looking for validation? Or is it that your voice is so terrible that it's like, okay, don't do podcasts, write. Or don't write. Find somebody who can do podcasts and then teach them how to do it. So a lot of people who give these excuses don't really want to do it. Like, it's not that people are lazy. I think people are not lazy, just don't want to do things. A lot of people are lazy and procrastinating. Procrastination is a form of your body telling you what you don't want to do. So the question is, do you really want to do it? If you want to, then just do it. It's a lot of things that I think now are very simple things. Like, many things are not as complicated as people make them to be. I have all the gear. Like, when I don't post a video on YouTube for a week, there's nothing about my mindset was this. I had writer's block. I know that there's nothing as writer's block. It's just that I don't want to post a video, because if I wanted to post a video, I will make the time. I'll wake up early. I'll write my script. I'll record the video. I'll edit it and I'll publish it. I am in control of what I do. So if I'm going to say my voice is not good, who decides that my voice is not good? It means you don't even like your own voice. So why are you even speaking to anybody? Like, stop talking. Don't ever talk to
Right.
anybody.
No, that's a good point. I also think that part of it is the feedback that you get, right? I think, I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone, trying to, I don't know, let's say I've been a consultant for 5 years. I know technically as a consultant, you know how to solve problems, how to break out problems. And you decide, you know what? Let me make this information that I have available to people who don't have it. The problem I think that some people get is trying to release the perfect course material, the perfect blog post, the perfect podcast. How did you approach that when you decided, again, across all of those different media, blogging, podcasting? How was it to release that first episode, that first blog?
I wish I had an issue with perfection. If anything, I love to fail. I think that I'm looking back, that's like one of my strengths. I look forward to failing because first, when I fail, my wife always thinks that I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. It's just annoying. Like, failing is not fun. The fact I look forward to it doesn't mean that I enjoy it. Like, failing shows you what could have been done differently. It doesn't mean that it's a good experience. It doesn't mean I'm like, yes, I'm not sadistic. Like, I don't like the feeling of I failed. No. It's just an opportunity for you to see where you could have done something differently. So failure becomes a learning process when you look at it like, all right, I made my first podcast episode. The audio was weird. There was some background noise. It was too short or it was too long. What can I do for the next episode? Each episode becomes an opportunity for the next. So every time I write, I'm looking forward to what I will take for the next episode. And that's it for me. It's a cycle of everything that I'm making is for next. So I'm never actually worried about perfection, which in a way I am because like my novel, I have a fiction novel I've been working on for the past 3 years. It's my most precious idea that I've like. This is the idea this is my own Jake. This is my own Harry Potter. This is my Alchemist.
Oh.
This one requires me.
Okay.
And fiction is hard for me. Now I'm into the world of nonfiction. I read a lot of nonfiction, so I write a lot of nonfiction, and I'm even gearing a lot more towards mental models and first principles and philosophy and things that are very logical in a way that requires me to really know what I'm talking about, which is scary. And that's the part where I'm looking at that perfection and actually realizing like, yes, I like to do good work, but I'm much more excited about the process of doing the good work. So what do I do? If I write an article and I feel like it's not good enough, I find feedback from somebody that I know will give me actionable advice. So if I'm making a podcast and I think my podcast is not good enough, I make the podcast and I give somebody like you, like, hey, Claudel, you've been doing this thing for a while. Tell me what I can fix. So I don't just sit with the feelings of this is bad, this is not good, this sucks. It's either I release it for the world to tell me through the comments on Medium or the YouTube like algorithm or whatever. I would see that, well, people did not like this video, people dropped over 2 minutes. Everything is data. So for me, I go into the process looking forward to that data, not to the product of the writing itself or the podcast. Like now, I know 100% that people who are listening to my podcast are surprised that I've not published any podcast. Like it doesn't make sense that I'll show up and then disappear. Like I'm very much aware of it. It's not perfection. I have the recorded episodes and just haven't edited them. But I will do those episodes knowing that somebody will show up and say, but you weren't here for 6 months. Why should I trust you now? Like, you're right. You shouldn't trust me, which is why I'm going to gain your trust. So I don't look at things as a way of, it's not how do you call this thing? A sum.
Zero-sum game.
Yeah. Every article leads to the next article. Everything is a step forward. I look at it like a baby walking. If you have a baby and then they wake up from the stomach and they're like, I need to walk tomorrow. You're like, but bro, it took me almost a year to walk. You cannot just walk right now. Like, relax. Take it easy. Be kind to yourself. And I actually have a question for you as a consultant because I'm getting into consulting now. And I think my energy sometimes discourages people from taking steps because I'm like, do it, just write the article. So, but what do you think happens that people, don't do those things? So that, like, as a creative yourself, how do you get yourself out of that space of perfection?
I think there's two main things that I think has helped me push this forward. The number one, I think my education. My parents raised me to not really care about people's opinions.
Nice.
Bad comments, negative comments, take it as feedback, but don't, how can I say it? If I have an idea in mind, I will be open to feedback into how to make it better. But a comment such as, oh, that sucks, it doesn't do anything for me, like at all. And that I think is coming from my parents from a very young age you have an idea in mind, just keep on doing it, improve it, and just take constructive feedback. The number two is education. I have a computer science degree, and building software is all about iteration. It's we know, like all engineers will tell you that there is no perfect products. That's why people can ask you, but what are people doing at Google or Facebook? Why don't you release the website? Why do you keep doing that? Just build it and then do something else. But it's never perfect. There's always a bug to fix. There's always a new feature to improve. So I think that mindset that I had since undergrad, I've just applied to everything I do. So for the podcast, the first episode is, hey, I want to do something. Like my wife can tell you, the very first episode, I was thinking about a podcast for a while. I'm like, you know what? I think on Friday I went on Amazon. I ordered this mic, the Blue Yeti.
Yeah.
It came on a Saturday evening. I just sat down, opened the computer, opened GarageBand. Like, where do you record? Just clicked on it. Did like my first intro video. I think it was in French, 12 minutes, and I just posted. And okay,
Yeah.
you know what? That's it. And I think it was the hardest part, that first step, just releasing something, and then the rest become much easier because like, hey, it's out there. And funny enough, most of the feedback was positive and encouraging and saying it's not perfect, obviously, but it can be improved, it can be done.
Yeah, people don't get that. I think what you said about the mindset is really where I'm realizing that if you do a lot of work on your personal mindset, then you can know whether you want to do some things or not.
Yeah.
I think people don't really, when I say they don't know where they are and what they want, is they're still dealing with things that they might not even be aware of. Maybe things from childhood, things from parenting, things from society, that they cannot say, okay, you know what, I actually want to start a podcast because I want to be able to make an impact on people's lives. Creating and writing is really looking at the long term. I want to create a full-time income as a creative. And listening to Naval, I've realized that for me to do that, the aspect of media is where I should be leaning towards. Like, I need to become a better storyteller. I need to become a better, basically, storyteller, and better marketer, better public speaker, better all these things. So if I sit here and feel bad that I'm not doing well, then I will never improve. So it's up to me to improve. Yeah, this is my life. It's up to me to. For those who are listening, there's my dog who just took over my chair now, and I'm struggling to sit.
Just showing you who's the boss.
Yeah, he's the boss. So it's hard. Like, I would not say it's easy, because when I speak sometimes, like, people are like, yeah, you can say that because you're creative. Everybody is creative. Every single child knows how to draw. It doesn't mean... There's this joke by one of my favorite TED Talks, Sir Ken Robinson, something about education. I've forgotten the... I've not listened to it in a while. Where it's a small segment where he talked about this class. This woman she was with kids in the class, and they were drawing, like doing, like, classroom exercises with children, just drawing things. And like, yeah, draw whatever you want, draw anything you want. And the instructor walks over and she sees this child, like, what are you drawing? She's like, it's a picture of God. It's like, that's not... How do you know what God looks like? He's like, oh, you'll know in a minute. Like,
Nice.
children have the freedom to believe that they can draw the face of God. Like, that they can actually draw something. But as an adult, you'll be like, yeah, you don't know what God looks like. You already have this construct, this mental block of,
Yeah.
I am not smart enough, I'm not good enough, my voice is not good enough, I'm not good with money. All those things, okay, you already know them. What are you doing to change them? Like, that's a question I ask. Yes, your voice is not good. So what are you going to do about it? Because I think people have more control than they really want to accept.
I think so too, and you're definitely right. I'll try to remember, because I talked about something, the same subject on my last episode, on look at your childhood and look at how growing up fear has come into you. Like, child, they run all over the place. They touch fire, they touch power outlets. They don't give a shit, right? Exactly. Like, let you just try, and then they learn by feedback. They learn not to touch the oven when it's warm because, oh, it's burning their skin. So, and that's something I think as we grow up, we kind of forget. We want to release something and be perfect for the first place. Let me ask you this: as part of your Medium blog post and on YouTube videos, sometimes you get personal. I remember one video when you were providing advice and saying, "Don't get married." And
yeah.
as a married man, I remember the comments being, somehow controversial, but I like that you exposed and just talked about your life in general. Given where marketing is going nowadays on personal branding, we see a lot of vloggers and bloggers exposing their real life. We talk about Cody or Peter McKinnon or Casey Neistat, Stump Sam, showing pictures, videos of themselves, their wife, talking about what's happening to them. So as we both Cameroonian, and we know that a big part of our culture, especially, the Bamileke, the Boya part, which is much more private and reserved, how do you think personal branding is going to evolve, or is it even possible right now in the future without sharing a big part of who you are in your life? And what do you say to the people then who will say, I don't want to do creative content because I feel as if it's going to be unavoidable for me to share about personal aspects?
Well, that's a pretty good question. I think it's one of those areas that a lot of people should have genuine concern, like privacy. I mean, I love to use Zoom, and very recently people were hacking into Zoom and just showing kinds of things on the video. So privacy is a big deal in this world now, where you go everywhere to sign up. You have to give your email, probably sometimes your social security. If you're in the U, well, you don't give your social security anywhere. Please don't give your social security anywhere online. It's not legal. But when I look at people like Peter McKinnon, one thing that stands out for me is that of all the videos I've watched about him and his kids, I don't see his kids' face in it. Like, he's so good, he will show you the child. Like, you will see that he's with his daughter, but you will not see the child's face, which is very artistic in a way that allows you to realize, like, he is very much aware of the world in which he's in and wants to give the child permission to do it. What do you want? And what are you willing to sacrifice for it? And I don't think you have to sacrifice privacy to get what you want. As a creator, what do you know about J.K. Rowling? Like, what do you really know about J.K. Rowling? She wrote a book. She makes a lot of money. She talks. But what do you really know? What do you know about Oprah? She has a show called The Oprah Show. She asks people personal questions. And you can probably watch some documentaries where an interview where she talks about what she wants to talk about. Right now, for example, I'm sharing with you what I wanted to share about. I'm not going to share with you what I ate in the morning. I'm not going to share with you the fight that I had with my wife yesterday. I mean, we didn't have a fight, but I'm just saying you're still in control of what you share. Not wanting to share your life is not an excuse, because you don't have to share your life to make creative content. Movies, like, take big creators, let me say directors. What's this guy's name? The man who works with Leonardo DiCaprio on nearly all his movies. I can't forget names afternoon.
The guy who did Tarantino?
Not Tarantino, but take Tarantino, for example. We know Tarantino is like a quote-unquote... from his interviews, you can see the kind of person that he is, but what do we really know about their private lives? The point I'm trying to make is that in the world in which we live today, I know many people who are fighting so hard to hide their privacy that they don't even do the things that they want to do, simply because they don't understand that privacy is what you give permission access to. When I make a review of The Alchemist, I've told you that I like the book. I told you how it affected me. And one thing that I do with my writing that people have told me a lot, which I'm now trying to really package and sell, because I'm so much more about selling these days, is that you can be personal without being too personal if you understand, if you ask yourself this question. If somebody asks you to say this in public, would you say it? If you wouldn't, then don't say it, even in private. I think people try to separate the internet world and the private world when they shouldn't. Be a good person, so that if you open your mouth and speak on your videos, you say the same thing that you say in private. It's been easy for me, but difficult for to understand. Like, my wife is not on social media, she's not on the internet, she's nowhere. She has no, if you type her name on social, you see just her doctor, whatever, like, that's it. There's no social media, because she knows she doesn't like the way social media changes people and the way it affects her. Like, she's very self-aware of what it does to her. So if you don't want to share your private life, don't share it. But does that stop you from writing a poem? Does that stop you from interviewing people like this? Does that stop you from writing a movie with characters that are created in a fictional scenario? People like excuses, Claudel. People like to just find all reasons why they will not create. And I know, because I've made those same excuses myself. Like, all the list, there's no excuse that you give that I've not given for myself. So I'm like, yeah, we live in a world people are sharing a lot of things. Even on Medium, where I write, there are people who thrive because they share a lot of their private stories, like personal stories about arguments with their parents. I know some of them personally. And there are others who thrive talking about personal development that has nearly nothing to do with them. They talk about their books that they've written. They can mention things about, like, they got a divorce, but you know, yeah, like, oh, this is what happened. Or when you do hear it, it's not a thing of, oh, my life is miserable, my wife is miserable, she's such an evil person. It's more of, here's the lesson that I learned. So everything, both good and bad, becomes an avenue for you to grow. Because when you look at it from that perspective, from, okay, I don't want to share my private life, but what is a good thing here that somebody else can use? Focus on the lesson, not the actual event. It could be that I had a fight with my wife. We don't have to know what the fight was. Or I embarrassed myself last morning. You can tell us, okay, what happened? Like, why should I believe that I was embarrassing? But you don't have to paint step by step who was there. My cousin said this, my aunt said that, and I felt this way, and it was this. There's a very fine line between being private and being stealthy / being, I don't know, a hermit, I guess. So it's not a reason to not create in 2020. Many people, Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm sure you know him.
Yeah.
What do you know about Gary Vaynerchuk's children? You know their names. But that guy is everywhere on the internet. So...
No, I like that. If I try to sum it up, and let me know if I capture the essence of what you were trying to say. Number one, know yourself in the sense of what's the message you want to put forward, what are you comfortable sharing or not. And number two, adapt that to an avenue, like what you're sharing on a podcast or on a video is not the same as on the vlog, right? The vlog, I think, tends to be more personal, so obviously you're exposing yourself more. But at the end of the day, ultimately, you can very simply control what you see, what you say or not. And I like the idea of, as you say, showing children without showing their face, right? Knowing that when they grow up, they don't have to be, oh, you were that kid on that vlog 20 years ago when your dad did that. So it's also protecting the privacy of the people around you, not just yourself.
Thanks for being so concise.
No. I do that even for myself. Don't worry at all.
I think it's a computer science thing, right? You tend to think in very concrete. I have a difficulty with my wife where it's like I go around the thing and I say the thing at the end. She's like, why didn't you just say that? But I'm thinking while I'm speaking. So it's like as I'm speaking, I'm getting to my point, and then by the time I'm done, it's just taking too long. That's why I write. So I get to think and then edit it out.
That's the whole point, indeed.
Yeah.
So I think for a first get in touch, I think we talked about it at the beginning. It's been a while. We were supposed to do that in 2019, and then scheduling, it took the time. The year passed by very fast, and then 2020 started, as we know, kind of a corona. But yeah, as you said, man, the silver lining, we are at home, so we have more free time. You're reading more, as you said. You're getting back to publishing, blogs and mediums. You're even getting to vlog. I didn't know about that, so I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm getting more into content course creation. So what I decided to do is teach other people how to write. Because I've gotten to a point where I realized that those same excuses of I don't think I'm good enough, I don't think I know enough, were stopping me from actually making more income. Because everybody knows more than somebody else on something. And if you don't actually accept that you're actually good at something, I wrote an article about why you should be paid for what the skills you consider basic. And that was me crystallizing my thoughts around the fact that some people are listening to this right now, like the colleagues you said, who have skills, who have abilities, but they downplay their abilities first because they don't want to get the world to tell them you suck.
Yep.
Secondly, because they are worried about the responsibility of having someone pay them to get a result done. So they don't want the accountability. And when you don't want accountability, you make all kinds of excuses. You run around this. It's like, no, it's like somebody asking you to organize a party, and you're like, oh man, that's so I mean, no thanks. But then you'll find people who are very happy about organizing parties because they have the skills. So I'm switching a lot more towards. So I've been writing on Medium. I'm figuring out the platform. I'm taking courses myself. I've been doing YouTube, studying the platform, realizing that I know how to actually do good videos. I may not have done it, but I actually have the knowledge because I've gone into many YouTube holes, read a lot of books, so I know how to teach somebody else to do it. And for podcasting, I've actually been an interviewer, an editor. I'm actually working with a client now. So I have these skills that I'm trying to package now because I feel all these excuses that people give, like I don't know how to do a podcast. I'll be like, take my course. It's probably going to what, $40, $50. What's your excuse? You cannot afford $50. Then no, stop saying you want to do a podcast. You don't want to do a podcast. You're just complaining. So it's one of those like, all right, we don't have African creators, right? Okay, African creators, there's a course. It's actually free for you if you're from Cameroon. What's your excuse now? What really? I think I want to remove people's excuses. That's like one of my purposes now in life. Like, you have a problem, okay, I'll give you ways to solve it. If you cannot solve it, then let the whole world know that you are making an excuse and it's gone, and you just don't want to do it.
Gotcha. I like it, man. I like it. You, from what I'm hearing, you got to the point where you've been doing that long enough. You're in a position where you're happy with the content you have put out there. It has improved.
I'm not happy. If I say I'm happy, it'll be that I'm comfortable. Let me rephrase. I feel like I have a lot more to learn. Like, I want to learn every day. I don't want to retire. I want to keep learning to the day I die. But I feel that when you look back 6 months, 3 months, and you can see, it's like I don't know. Do you play video games? I'm sure. I mean, computer science.
Yep.
Let me stereotype you. You know, when you level up in a game, and you're like, dude, I'm able to do these cool things I wasn't able to do in the beginning. That's how I feel about life. Like, I now have these new skills. I used to like some RPGs when I was. I had this game that I loved. I started playing Vagrant Stories. Like it was an RPG, but I never finished it, and I really liked it. PlayStation 1, for that matter. But when I think back to the time when you start the game and you have nothing, you have like a broken wooden sword, and then by the time you get like a shield, you have like this, and you have like magical powers.
Yep.
So I feel like I'm that point when now, I started with sandals and now I'm wearing boots. So I'm getting there.
Gotcha. Which is good, right? Because I think it's at least it gives you the confidence to, now that I am, as you said, maybe level 3 or 4 compared to level 1, how do I package what I know to, number one, again, we all have to live, and so how do you focus on selling? How do I package that to actually improve and increase your income? And number two, as you mentioned as well, even people back home, how do you even provide that for free so that you have that sense of giving back right now versus waiting, I don't know, 10 years from now when you're, I don't know, 40 something and being a millionaire. Right now, today, given where you are confident enough that you have the skills to be able to start giving back today. And that, I think, is something, it can be a big motivator as well. And I hope for people to put out any type of content, it's like you don't have to wait to be Scorsese or Tarantino or whoever else before giving back.
It's when you say that, it actually reminds me of when we're talking about the part of being too personal without being personal enough. It just got me thinking of a project I did with my friend, my very good friend Anne-Marie Befun, in around 2015. We started this platform called Selfish on Medium. It's now, I handed it over and it's changed to something else. But at the time, it was a place where we talked about the people that we're listening to, like the podcasts we're listening to, the books we're reading. And both of us were at the same place in life where we're like, what do we want to do with our lives? And we're just writing and experimenting and sharing. And then now she runs this platform called Digression, where she writes like really in-depth articles about things like money, parenting, personal development, passion, from an angle of somebody who is I don't want to say a skeptic, but very practical. Like she's very logical, thinking of, yeah, everybody is saying this, but is this really true? Like, does this really apply? Like the whole idea of passion, the whole idea of you have to follow your passion. Like somebody will listen to this and say, oh, you both are passionate about creativity. That's why you're doing your jobs. But I work as a customer service representative. So I do all these things, writing, medium, podcasting on my own time. So that's what people fail to realize, that you don't get up and then build on your passion, whether in Cameroon or in the US. People that I've read and I follow have regular jobs. They work early or late and build up on it. I think one thing I wanted to make very clear is that when we speak, like people like you and I speak and share what we're passionate about, what we like to create, and what we like to see in Africa, the country, and the continent, people assume that we sit all day and we just chill and we're like, oh, yeah, I have an idea. And then we just write the idea and then we do it. You wake up early. I've been waking up at 5 a.m. for almost, 2 months now. Every day I wake up early. I sleep very late. My wife complains that I'm not hanging out. I mean, she doesn't really complain. It's not like I'm missing my wife. She's like, she's having some hardly there. So when she's there for like 30 minutes, she's complaining about those 30 minutes. But I think people need to realize that you cannot do everything in life. You have to pick your own things and then sacrifice some things to get it done.
Nicely said, man. Again, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really glad that we got to sync up. Can you tell us where? I mean, I will share that in the notes, but since you're live, can you tell where people can catch you, more of what's going on in your head and what you talked about?
There's this thing that I decided to stop doing, which is like telling people to go everywhere. So get me on YouTube. YouTube is where I'm pushing now forward to put a lot of my videos. I really want to get to my 1,000 subscribers by as soon as possible. I was thinking of May, but I don't have as many episodes as I wanted to. But yeah, YouTube, search my name, Kamga Tchassa, you'll find me there. It's a blue guy with show husband, poet, and writer or something. I don't know what my intro is. But I'm working more on YouTube to really share all the things I'm talking about, like how to actually create things, how to build better relationships, especially the business aspects of creativity. I think a lot of creatives don't leverage the business part of it and then complain that real artists are starving people. But I've read too many books, listened to many podcasts to understand that you need to know the business part of it. So yeah, YouTube is where you should find me if you want to hear more. You can subscribe to the newsletter or search my name, you'll see it. But if you want to stay in touch, YouTube is the place to go to.
Awesome. All right, thanks a lot, man. We talked at the beginning, you speak French and English. Any other language?
Pidgin, if that counts. Yeah, I speak Pidgin, and no, unfortunately, my mom is from Banjul, and I don't speak Banjul, which sucks. My dad is from Bafang, I don't speak Bafang, Fefe, which is Bafang, which sucks too. So gotcha. I'm upset, and I wish there was like a Skillshare course where I could learn, but there isn't. So not everything can be learned on the internet, as you can see.
Indeed, that's okay, man. So how about, if that's okay with you, you take 1 minute to kind of close this podcast or specific episode. 1 minute, a specific message to anyone who talks Pidgin, in Pidgin, of course. What do you want them to know either about you or just to get out there and start doing right now?
Plenty of people in the outside where they complain, say, money no day, Corona can destroy all kinds of say government, Cameroon government, Bobia. Anybody give excuse, anybody talk a kind of way stop you from following a passion or a dream. But if you check out, fine. All we get 24 hours inside one day. All we get team way if you do what we like for do team way some other person if you pay we won't do. The big mistake I today I say find your own team where if you work on top, where if you improve, where if you grow, where if you do it for the rest of your life, then focus on what they do. People that will drink beer, people that will smoke, people that will do all kinds of them. If you really want to achieve your goal now, you get to find your one team or your few team to on top. Government no can send you money. God no can tell you say, okay, you don't win. Nah. Now only you day. So begin to work.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kamga Tchassa. And thank you for all of us for listening after about 1 hour of conversation. I hope you liked what you've been... it went very fast. I hope you liked what you've learned. And again, if you want to learn more, go to YouTube, Kamga Tchassa. You can find everything about him, the content he's sharing, and what he's working on. Thank you very much. Atalaku to you, Kamga Tchassa. Keep on doing amazing work. Keep on putting yourself and amazing content out there. We talk to you soon.
I'm honored, man. I'm honored. I'm very happy about this, and I'm very glad that we're able to do it. It's really cool. So thank you again for having me on the podcast.